Hello everyone, this is Jotto, and welcome to the news. Yes, I'm back for another episode. Now, I haven't been doing much else this week. Two reasons. One, ladder season, and two, not a lot to talk about spellweaver-wise right now, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I can't do any deck techs because I've covered everything, apart from Wisdom Dominion, but I don't want to cover Wisdom Dominion. But anyway, I've covered pretty much everything, so I can't do any deck techs right now. So yeah, if you guys have any video ideas I can do before the next set comes out, by all means go for it, because I am fresh out right now. I'll be doing a video on the tournament qual system later on this week, probably this weekend. But besides that, I don't know, so if you have any suggestions, by all means put them in the comments. But anyway, on to the news for this week. First things first. The golden tickets. Yes, top 10 ladder finished out yesterday. And the golden tickets so far, there's only one left, that's going on Sunday. It went to Uska, myself, PewQ, Peacekeeper, Crueltech, Clone, Laurential, Ghetto, Johnny V, Zephyria, Krur, and Littlefur. And we also have the first of the invites, which would be Ecop. So we've got the majority. We're only missing the two invites and also the last of the golden ticket qualification spots. Now, the ladder has gone through its little shrinking thing it does on Fridays. But it ended up finishing, me and Uska were above 1900, and PewQ was at 1900, so that's how the ladder ended up finishing up. A lot of us had silver tickets because we played in the qualification tournaments. But in general, the ladder was a lot easier this week than it was at the end of last month. There was a massive gap. I think it was 150 gap between first and 10th. Whereas last month it was like 12 or 13 points. So it wasn't as close, that's for sure. I think a lot of people, especially German players, lost interest, which kind of makes sense. I mean, the thing with the German players is that they actually can't get paid in money for these tournaments, which is not good. But it's to do with German law. So there's not a lot that the devs can do about it. But anyway, congratulations to everyone that has a golden ticket, and it does mean that I will be playing in Masters and doing some coverage on it, like I did last month. So, on to the secret cards for this week. Now, keep in mind that these cards will be legal for Masters. They were not legal for Ladder, but they will be legal for Masters. We got 4. Well, we got 3, but then the token is a card. So, let's start with Thyanor Wolf Tongue. 3 mana, 1 nature, 1 generic, epic, legendary, 3/3 with 2 speed. He's an elf shaman. And for 3 mana, you can summon Silverfang onto the field. Silverfang is a 2/2 with 3 speed, legendary spirit wolf, and Silverfang is deadly in combat against creatures of evil. It's also 2 mana and 1 nature, which is important because it's an actual card as well. His second ability, if you have 2 nature and 2 other levels, wolves you control get +2/+2 and swift. Now, there's only one wolf in the game, which is Silverfang, so that's of note. But this guy's a powerhouse. Now, I want to note that Silverfang is also a card. The token is actually also a card, which I was very confused about. But yeah, it's actually also a card, so now nature has another 2/2 with 3 speed for 2 mana. So anyway, what do I think of this guy? Alright, first thing first, Kainu target. Kainu was a bit low on targets in nature. This gives him 1, which is very, very good. Overall, without Kainu, I think he's still very good. I don't think he's broken outside of Kainu at all. 3 mana is a big investment. 3/3 with 2 speed is not a fantastic body on something of this cost. Elite Vanguard costs 1 less and has that body on it. So the body's not fantastic. So what you're paying for is essentially, for 1 extra mana, you're paying for the summon ability, because the second ability is not massively useful until super late game. So how good is that second ability? It can be quite handy. It gives you a mana sink. It gives you effective card draw. You can get this guy of Nienna. That's huge. He's a shaman, also huge. But outside of Kainu, I think he's playable. I don't think he's overpowered. However, with Kainu, he's insane. You pay 2 mana, you get your Thionor. He comes out, he's a 4/4 with 2 speed, and then you pay 3 mana and you get your 2/2 immediately. They Tornado, you got your 2/2. You get to trade. And then you get to just play it again, or you get to, a couple turns later, put him under Kainu again. That's a big deal. The other thing is that it means that you don't have to play Elf Commander anymore. You've got Thionor instead, which is a big upgrade over the Elf Commander. That is for sure. Silverfang having Deadly against evil creatures is actually kind of important because of implants. It also helps against stuff like Succubus and just random things like Rage creatures. It helps against Phoenix mostly. Most Rage creatures don't have high HP totals, but that is actually relevant text. So the card is very, very good in Kainu, but besides that, I wouldn't exactly call him overpowered outside of Kainu, but I think he's very, very good in Kainu. So, Silverfang. Now, Silverfang's just a token, but it's also a card, which is interesting. I guess it's like with Golem and also Militia originally. But yeah, Golem is a token in Foundry Engineers, and is also a card. So what do I think of this guy? I think he's very good. He will definitely see a ton of play. He's an Elf Warrior. Doesn't have the Elf tag, but has another upside, but is legendary. I think he's slightly worse than Elf Warrior, but still, Elf Warrior, big deal. It means that Nature Aggro decks now can play 7 Elf Warriors, because you don't really want 4 of a legendary. But yeah, you can play 7 Elf Warriors, and if implants are running around a lot, then Silverfang is amazing. So yeah, love this guy. I don't think he'll see much play outside of Nature Aggro decks, but definitely think this guy is very, very good. So between these two cards, which are kind of almost the same card, but not really, they kind of fit across a lot of different types of decks. Now I want to point out Silverfang actually has a secondary artwork that he transforms into when he's buffed with a 4/4, so that's pretty cool. Alright. On to the third of the secret cards, Slave Gladiator, who has the least amount of text out of anything I've ever seen. 0 mana, yes, 0 mana, 1 Dominion, 1 Generic, 2/2 with 2 speed, Slave, and it's a human. And a common. Slave, new mechanic, can't attack or block if you control more slaves than non-slave creatures, which is cool. The idea is that Dominion, it's a very Dominion mechanic. The idea is you can enslave people, but only if you got more non-slaves than slaves. That's the idea, and that's cool. That is a very, very cool mechanic. This guy is insane. He's incredibly strong. For comparison, compared to Golem, he costs 1 less and has exactly the same stats and doesn't have the artifact creature drawback. So yeah, very, very powerful compared to Golem. But the difference between 0 and 1 is huge. Now, this has some very, very powerful stuff behind it. First of all, it costs 2 levels, which is a bit strange, which means you can actually use it as a 2-drop along with another 1-drop on turn 2. But it means he doesn't die to Harpy, which is huge. It means you can play a slave pretty much any time. As soon as you top deck it, just play it. And it lets you vomit onto the board incredibly fast. Like, Implants now has 8 1-drops, and now they've got a second 2-drop that they can play on curve, which is a big deal, because Implants was very inconsistent in the early game, and now they're not. So I definitely like this guy. Also, with Coronis, you can make a Raven so that you can start attacking with him. So I think Slave Gladiator is a very powerful card. Random other interaction, which is kind of insane. Advanced Never, it does work. It costs 0 and it draws a card, which is ridiculous. So yeah, maybe see some Dominion hate bears in the future. But yeah, very, very powerful card. We'll see quite a lot of play in the Implants decks. Last of the secret cards for this week, Eternal Servitude. 2 mana, 2 corruption, curse, and it's an uncommon. Return a creature that died this turn from a graveyard onto the field under your control as a slave, and attach Eternal Servitude to it. When Eternal Servitude leaves the field, sacrifice the creature it's attached to. So it's like an advanced Nefaros ability. In fact, that's exactly what it is. It has a drawback of adding slave, but it only costs 2 and only requires 2 levels. It's a very, very situational reanimate. When the spell leaves, the creature sacks, which is actually kind of huge because it means landslide effectively counters it. You play Eternal Servitude, you get the creature, they landslide, and the creature dies. However, I'd also be very concerned about using Eternal Servitude on an opponent's creature in general against nature. Because if they landslide their own creature, it goes back to the top of their deck, and if it was big enough to want to Eternal Servitude, you don't want them to have it again. Same goes to Tornado Outbreak, so a bit risky there. So what do I think of this thing? It's a less it's like it can apply to enemy stuff as well, but it's cheaper than Reanimate, but you need double corruption, which kind of sucks, and it can be countered, and it can only work on stuff that has died this turn, not stuff that's gone into the yard this turn, only stuff that's died this turn. I don't like it. I think there are better options for reanimation, and Advance Nefaros' ability is situational enough that you don't even use it that much in the game. Also, having to invest a card into doing the effect is quite a big deal. So I'm not a massive fan of the Eternal Servitude, I will admit. I think it's definitely the weakest of the cards we got released this particular week. So, what do I think of this batch? I think overall, this batch is a lot stronger than the last batch. Felix made a slight showing in the ladder towards the end, although Angel's got a bit hated out in the end. But besides that, the Void Touch, Subordinate, and also the Baseborn Recruit didn't actually show up. Baseborn Recruit will show up now that Slave Gladiator's around because Implants will be strong enough. So now we've got effectively 2 of the secret cards are not really playable. The rest of them, though, definitely are. So, I mean, we've had 7 secret cards. 5 of them will make an impact in some way. I think Silverfang may not. It depends on whether there's an sort of elf aggro deck, which there might be, actually. Because now you've got Silverfang, you've also got Thionor. So, yeah, you've got tons of extra consistency there. I mean, nature looks like it's going to be hard to stop. We may see a situation where it's just like every single deck has, every single Conquest lineup has a nature deck. Kainu Blue got a massive buff, Hate Bearers is the strongest deck in the game, and Elves got a massive buff. So, yeah, it's just like nature, nature, nature. You can only run one nature deck, though, so that's to keep in mind. But yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting Masters to test for, and I will say that if this Masters isn't fun to play, Conquest is a lost cause, because we've got a whole bunch of decks that we need to test, which means that the format's going to be a lot more diverse than it was last month. Good, by the way. So yeah, I'll give you my opinions on the Masters tournament after the 10th, so probably on the 11th or 12th of July after Masters. So yeah, I'll give you my opinions on that in a sort of tournament report video, like I did last month. But yeah, looking forward to testing some decks, that is for sure. So yeah, that's about it for this week's news. It was a bit slow compared to last week. I mean, we had the ladder finishing up, but that's about it. Legends of Arcadia is fully up and running now. There were a few bugs that were causing some issues last week, but they're fixed now. So if you haven't checked out that website, you definitely should. It's basically the community stats portal, so that's quite handy. But yeah, besides that, that's pretty much it for this week. Now, keep in mind, if I missed any news, put it in the comments, and I'll give you my thoughts on it as always, since I'm not perfect, and I do miss things from time to time. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, want to ask me any questions, put it in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. If you're new to the game and you want to start out, there is a referral code that will give you a custom card back and also 75,000 gold. And this time, I actually do have the card pack. So yes, it is the Disquisitive Spirit. I don't know if existing players can get it. I think you can from Saturday Conquest because this seems to rotate. Yeah, it's currently on Library Guards. This seems to rotate between different card backs over time. But besides that, I have no clue. If I find any information about existing players getting the card back, I will definitely let you guys know. But anyway, as for now, it's been Jotto, signing off.